What is going on, everybody? Justin here, aka No Good Comics, and welcome back to the channel. Tonight, I'm doing something a little extra special, doing a really excited interview that I'm ready for that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. I'm calling this show the Road to Hershey Comic Con. If you guys caught my last interview, I had talked to Joe Figured. He is the head promoter and the one who runs Hershey Comic Con, which is happening to be 2.5 weeks from now, coming up here in the beginning of July. I can't believe it's here already. With that, I wanted to take some time to continue to promote the show and also take some time to interview some of the guests that are going to be at the show itself. So that's where I'm here today with my special guest that I'll be introducing here in just a few minutes. If you guys are not familiar with Hershey Comic Con, definitely check it out. It is in the Hershey area. It's Grantville, Pennsylvania. It's at a Holiday Inn there. I put the information in the description below, so you can check out the website there, all the different guests and artists and content creators that are going to be there. This will technically be my second year that I was at that I'll be at Hershey Comic Con. I'll definitely be there this year. This year's gonna be a 2-day event as well. So even better to see that the con has been continuing to grow. Again, if you missed last episode talking with Joe, definitely go check it out. Joe is such a great guy, very humble, very easy to talk to, a lot of fun, knows his Doom Patrol amongst other things that we talked about. So yeah, it was a blast, and I know that this Hershey Comic Con is going to be a blast as well. Of course, my dad is going to be there. He'll be set up with a table amongst several other artists in Artist Alley. So really looking forward to that. Again, check out the link in the description. It's coming up July 1st and 2nd will be Hershey Comic Con. Other than that, I'm hoping to have a few other guests come along as well. So, be on the lookout for that as we get closer to this date here. So, like I said, 2.5 weeks is going to be coming up soon. The other thing I was going to mention is we have Omni X-Men this tonight at 9:00 Eastern over on John's channel. So, for those who follow my channel for the Omni X-Men show, we will be over on John's channel to break down the mini series of Magic issues 1 through 4 with our good friend Jen, doing that at 9:00 tonight. So some back-to-back for me. If you're looking to see me twice, then you're at the right spot. I do want to actually, before I go into the chat, I do want to introduce my guests. So with me tonight, and again, this is a little different for my channel, as most of you who follow me know that a lot of it's about comic books or comic related books. This certainly falls under anime, which easily can be considered a variation of comics to begin with, amongst other things. So, manga and anime together. So, I've growing up been a huge fan of Dragon Ball Z, and it's been a while since I've watched it. Never thought in a million years that I'd have anyone on my channel, or even just me being able to have the opportunity to talk to anyone who's worked on the show in any way. So my special guest for tonight is going to be Stephanie Nadolny, and she is an American actress, well over 33 years voice acting experience with voice roles in television series, films, commercials, radio, sports, anime dubbing, and so on and so forth. And one of the main things that I know her for now is that she did the voice for Kid Goku in Dragon Ball and Gohan as a kid in Dragon Ball Z. So I'm really excited to introduce Stephanie. So Stephanie, let me bring you on now. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
I love it. I love the hat. How you doing?
Saying necklace on. I'm ready. I'm great. How are you doing? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing great. Yes. Thank you so much for taking some time to do this. I'm happy that we were able to connect. And again, big shout out to Joe Figured, who had put us together to make this happen. So
absolutely,
really happy for you to be here.
What's up, Joe?
Yeah.
I call him Gary. It's an inside joke.
Oh, there you go.
I need to explain right now.
Love it. Well, for those watching right now, or if you're watching in the replay, if you're looking to follow more details on Stephanie's information, all of it's down in the description below. You can find her over on Instagram. I put her website down below as well. So make sure that you are following those channels. And if you're in the Grantville, Pennsylvania area in 2.5 weeks, then make sure that you stop by the table and check out everything that Stephanie has going on. So
yeah, that's some fun.
Yes, I'm really excited. So I have a ton of questions for you. Before I get into all that, I do want to say a quick hello to the chat, because we do have we got about 9 people hanging out with us right now. So we'll say a quick hello.
Okay, welcome guys.
We got my good friend John from John's Comments with Kids. What's going on, John? be going
Yeah.
live with him later tonight. I got back-to-back shows tonight, Stephanie.
Oh wow, staying busy is good, right?
Yes,
Busy's good.
that it is. We got my man Marvin Wynn in the house. What's going on, Marvin? Good to
I
see
love
you.
that icon or whatever. I don't know what you call that.
Oh yeah, it's
Cool,
little
yeah,
logo
the
there.
little
Yeah.
pizza logo, yeah.
Johnny Knight also hanging with us. What's going on, Johnny Knight?
Johnny Knight, where's Johnny Day, man?
Yeah, right. Perry Gaming, what's going on, Perry? Good to see you, my friend. We got a comic book worm, my friend Naman. Hello,
That's
Naman. Thanks for
cute.
stopping by.
Book.
Let's see. Yes, there. I mean, usually you
So
would think there's some
clever.
chocolate there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's clever. Yeah. Oh, I like me some chocolate. That's true. I
yeah,
love chocolate. This is gonna be great.
yes,
I'm not going on
yes.
my diet till after this
Oh, see, so
event. I mean,
there
hey,
you go.
we're gonna have some chocolate. We're gonna be in Hershey. Hello.
You got to have some,
Yeah,
a little bit
some
of chocolate.
samples
Yeah,
of this, a little bit of that.
exactly. Let's see. My friend Digger Jim in the chat. What's going on, Jim? Good to see you. Perry said Dragon Ball and DBZ are on replay 24/7. I love hearing that. That is
Wow.
awesome. Dedicated right there. Perry is dedicated.
True fans.
There's my dad, Greg. What's going on, Dad?
Hey,
Good to see
Greg.
you. He'll be
Awesome.
at the show as well coming up.
Looking forward to hanging out. Let's have some
Uh,
fun.
there's my fiance, Lady No Good, hanging out in the chat as
Oh,
well. Good to see you.
that's adorable.
Let's see. We got BLC, Big Lion Cat. What's going on, Patrick? Thanks for stopping by.
Or the cat.
Yes, I think I got everybody at the moment. So I will say for anyone in the live chat right now, feel free to put in any questions that you may have for Stephanie as we get involved, and I'll highlight them as I go. So definitely throw them in there. So Stephanie, let's kick this off. I'm really excited. And, like I was saying before, I watched a lot of Dragon Ball Z growing up, truly obsessed with it. Had no idea any of the voice actors, like never, as a kid, never like seeked out any of that stuff. But, now looking back at it, and then of course being introduced to you and everything else. And I've checked out some of your videos. Like it's so cool to like hear Gohan and hear Goku from you.
Yeah.
So maybe we get a preview later, but that I love. I mean, it's so awesome. So I guess to start, I'm curious, like, I actually want to get a little into your career first of like how it started for you. Like, how did voice acting start for you? What did it look like? And, where were you at the time in your life?
Right. It's a different origin story for everybody, I've noticed, because I do a lot of these Comic Cons and we do some of these interactive panels where we talk about how we, from other cartoons, other, parts of the USA or, but for me, I kind of have we all have unique stories. Mine's specifically unique in the sense that I started voice acting as a child, like without thinking, oh, this is what I want to do for a living. What I really wanted to do and what I latched on as far back as I can remember, age 3, is singing music. I got completely captivated by music. Thankfully, I had parents who were very big music lovers. We, that's one thing we always had. Maybe not, we didn't have much, but we always had a decent stereo. We had whatever the cutting edge stereo was at the time, 8 tracks, then albums and, cassettes and all of that. So my big thing and my biggest obsession from a very young age was music, and specifically 60s and 70s music was where it all began for me, disco in particular. So I embraced that. And my father had a really cool stereo where we would have the microphones and we would record our voices. And once I had that microphone in my hand, you'd have to pry it out of my hand because it was like, oh, it's bedtime. And I'm like, no. I just couldn't get enough of it. I was singing, I was doing voices, I was mimicking my brother. I was making silly voices of my own. I was mimicking. I was, as soon as I could get my hands on a piano, I was playing piano and singing and making up songs and poetry. And I was all about creative arts without even knowing what that meant.
Sure. I love
so
that.
I embraced that to start. And that's where kind of my voice acting, anything related to the voice, but specifically my love and passion was all behind singing music and singing songs. And so I grew up as immersed in that as I could possibly be, because it was just the core of the passion of who I was. It was just ingrained in my soul. Yeah. And to this day, music is my therapy. I mean, hands down. That and laughter. Who doesn't love to laugh? How freeing is that?
A great combo. Yeah.
Yeah. So that started for me with, the the singing, the music, writing songs, writing, lyrics, and all through my life. I kept a journal. I was just passionate about anything arts. We moved around a lot, so it was hard for me to really kind of get a sense of a solid ground until I was, out of high school, because we moved every couple of years.
Sure.
A lot of changes and that, and state to state, so that was not fun.
Right.
But it taught me a lot about being resilient and everything. But anyway, the voice acting part of it, long after I'd been doing, musicals and theater, and I focused on all of that. Anytime I had spare time to do anything, it was involving that. When cassette players came out, I was absolutely obsessed. Recording my own interviews. I made my own shows with my friends. I came up with character voices of my own, and that was what I did for fun. That was what I did as a hobby. The acting and the musicals came later, as I was able to audition for community theater, and then I majored in dramatic arts in college. So I had a passion for anything and all things that really involve the voice. Sure. And so after I was involved in college, I joined a band right at 18. And from there, I got an audition for a show band, an internationally known touring show band called Vince Vance and the Valiants, featuring the vivacious vixens of rock and roll, Venus, Violet, and Victoria, or whoever was in the band had their own V name. And the band had originated in 1971 in New Orleans, and by the time I came around, it was 91. So I joined it right about 1920, and I was off to the races, never went back to college. Not saying that's a good idea for anybody listening. I had full plans to complete college, get a degree in arts and sciences. That was the goal. But when I had that opportunity, being in Dallas-Fort Worth and being in a big metroplex, I was able to have that opportunity, and I had to take it. I just had to. And I thought I'd do it for a while and then, maybe get into some other things. But while I was touring with the show band is when I was able to immerse myself in the local industry, which is lots of amazing music comes out of Dallas-Fort Worth. And, the college I went to had it was a big music school. University of North Texas is a giant school for music. So I was able to sing in some choirs and participate in a lot of auditions there and get involved. But the show band is what led me into the voice acting business. I was able to get a lot of exposure performing live all over the United States and parts of Europe. I was able to audition for, actually what really happened at the beginning of the beginning is I was able to start working with an internationally known polka band out of Denton, Texas, called Brave Combo. And it's a world music polka kind of thing. I'm Nadolny's Polish, so there's no wonder that I would be naturally attracted to polka music. It's ingrained in my heritage, right? So I started sitting in with them at the band performances, German festivals or whatever, and we would share the stage, and they would go on first or we would go on first. And from there, I got to know the founder of that band. And then he said, hey, you know what, let's work on some original material. I've got some great songs. Your voice is unique. I think it's going to be a good fit. So I started working with them on our original album. And that was probably around 96, 97. And at that point in time, I was also getting into jingles and parodies and writing like my Weird Al Yankovic type stuff, broccoli, eat your veggies when you dine, and changing the lyrics. A lot of comedic stuff for morning show radio. And then from there, I was working on albums with Brave Combo. And at that point in time, that's when I met a producer, director, who I didn't know who he was, but I knew he was there, and he's a big fan of Brave Combo. Asked me if I'd ever done voice work. I said, I do voices for fun. I've been in theater. What do you have in mind? And he's like, well, I don't really know for sure just yet, but we exchanged information, and sure enough, like less than a year later, I was contacted by him he was working for a company called Funimation Productions, Funimation in Dallas-Fort Worth. And I was asked to audition for a show involving like a cartoon. That's all I knew. I didn't know what the cartoon was. I didn't know anything about it.
Right.
Didn't know anime. I didn't know anything about it really. So I showed up for the audition and auditioned for all the female roles, being that I didn't know really what was going on. But while I was in the audition, it was like there were like 3 judges there. It was like really kind of high pressure, but thankfully I'd been in the industry for a long time, and I was like, had to get over the stage fright. That was definitely. And so while I was there, they asked me this particular director, Barry Watson, asked me, hey, can you give us a young boy voice? And I had all kinds of experience voicing, teasing my stepbrothers and my brother and my friends at
Oh
school and middle school. I'd done a lot of that. So I threw a voice at them and they liked it and said, hey, what about a little more rasp? Put a little more gravelly, like this. Okay. And they apparently liked it because I got a call back in less than a week saying, we would like to cast you as the role of Gohan. And I was like, yes, I got it on my answering machine back in the day. And I was like, oh, great. Well, what's Gohan and what is this all about? And so it was really exciting to finally get a job putting all of those voices and all of that practice, all those years to use and be utilized in something like a cartoon. And we ended up doing the English dub where they had picked up where the ocean dub in Canada left off, which was the Ginyu Saga. I found all about all of this much later.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Early on, Gohan wasn't necessarily a prominent character. So while I was at the studio, I ended up getting to do a lot of the background voices while I was there, like the
nice.
villagers and they call it Walla, and the babies crying, women screaming. I did a couple of voices of the villagers and like a teacher that might have a few lines. And
right.
And then as things went along, Gohan became kind of more of a prominent character. And then eventually the Cell Saga hit and he's like, I'm there like a lot more often, because I could go in once a week or I would go in once every 3 or 4 months. It would just depend on where they were at, when the deadlines were, set for whatever they're doing. And then, of course, we would just kind of crank them out and they would be released on VHS tapes. About that time, Burger King picked up the promotion and was giving away little Dragon Ball Z toys. Again, I'm thinking, oh, this is like great. But this is going to end. All good things end. This is going to be what I'm doing now. And it'll be something else, traveling in the band, so being an independent contractor and a performer enabled me to have that flexibility to not necessarily have a 9 to 5 or like have to be somewhere at a particular time, except for the band. We had to be there for bus call, tour bus call. Yeah. So yeah, I was just living the dream in a way. I was, working through my 20s in the show band, and then got the job doing the voice of Gohan. And then from there, I was able to randomly audition for E-Sky. Oh my, I'm E-Sky. I'm the queen. And I got that role by total chance. I had a few minutes left over at a session, and we were to round out the hour. The director asked me to throw a voice out for that, and being that it was completely unique and crazy and over the top, I mean, I wasn't expecting it, but that ended up a lot of fun playing that role. And then eventually the company just kept growing, and we went from one studio to Studio A to Studio B to Studio C. More properties were acquired, and more directors were hired, and then the company just continued to grow. And then at some point we worked on Dragon Ball, and I think the directors had a pretty good idea of what I could sound like. And they kind of threw Goku at me, Goku as a boy. Again, all of this is brand new. I started doing some convention appearances, I think a year and a half later after being cast, which that was a whole new world for me. San Diego Comic Con in 2000. I had to prove that I was the voice. All weekend long, the boys and girls that were coming in were younger, and they're like, you're a girl, you're a girl. There's no way you're that voice. And I'd have to prove it.
Right.
It was fun. It's like oh, okay, I guess she is the voice of Gohan.
Right.
And then the Cell Saga came along, and then Dragon Ball GT, and I was invited to work with Carl Finch of Brave Combo to do the music for some animation themes. And at that point, I was able to utilize my vocal talents to be utilized for like Yu Yu Hakusho. We did Sayonara Bye Bye. Which for me was a dream come true, because not only was I doing voice acting, I was also singing and participating and writing the lyrics from the Japanese translation into English lyrics, and then going in the studio and recording them. So I did some stuff with Kitty Grade and Case Closed, and that didn't continue because I think they ended up using some different themes, and they went back to using some of the Japanese original themes. But that for me was like, this is it. I'm like, okay, so I'm writing, I'm directing other singers, I'm singing them myself, I'm involved in the process of the lyric writing, and then jumping on a tour bus and going on tour. So I was just doing a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And thankfully I was young enough to kind of handle the crazy scheduling and traveling and sleeping on an airport floor many times, or, sometimes the bus would break down and we'd be in a van. and
Right.
I was just passionate about it. And, and the band had costumes, it had singing, it had, skits and comedy and improv. It had a little bit of everything. It was very theatrical, very
Yeah. That's cool.
visual. So I learned a lot about show stage presence. And then
Right.
eventually I stayed so long, I became like the mother hen, and I would be in charge of costumes and choreography and recruiting other singers, young singers that wanted to get into the industry.
Sure.
And then I stayed for well over 2 decades. I mean,
Wow.
I was hooked. It's like,
That's incredible.
yeah. So most
Yeah.
of my beginnings began with the voice, but through music.
Through
And then,
music. Yeah.
and then
I
the
love
voice
that.
acting came later. So now
That's
I
really
do
cool.
voices for fun all the time. I mean, I'm in
Right.
Beavis and Butthead and Bobby Hill from King of the Hill. But it's just I'm constantly vocalizing. It's just something I
Right.
do. It's just I challenge myself all the time, whether I'm getting
Sure.
cast in something or not. It's like, hey, can I do that voice? I don't know if I can do that voice. Can I? What can I do with accents or So that's kind of how it began for me, which is kind of just a different. It's not something like I'm 3 years old and I want to be a voice actor. Like
Right.
wasn't quite like that.
There's like levels. Yeah.
Right. And I had a passion for voices and the character voices, and I'm just naturally better at the comedic ones and the over
Sure.
the top characters as
Yeah.
opposed to the solid. I do radio commercials and regular, narrations, but for me,
Sure.
what came more natural, and I think that what really shined about my voice was the character voices.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, certainly loving the energy that you're giving off here. And I know that I imagine how much energy you have to put into, some of the character voices and things like that. So I love the fact that you, as they were asking for like a little boy's voice to kind of sound, that you just thought about like how you teased your brothers and like some of the stuff you did
Yeah.
growing up. Like it was all very natural and very much like, I do this all the time. Let me just do it in front of you.
Real life experience,
Yes.
just
Yeah.
draw from experience. And
Yeah.
I was able to really capture a lot of the emotional, that some of the characters were not so surface, and which that makes for good writing and good character, development was,
Yeah.
specifically for Gohan when he goes through life like, watching his friends get bullied, and it just gives him all this power that he finally releases, but he holds back and for all that time. And then when he finally unleashes, it's like I felt like I could relate to that because coincidentally, and not to mention something extremely sad and traumatic, but in my personal life, my mother was fighting cancer when I was cast as Gohan, and she passed away 8 months in
So
to
sorry.
1999. And she was my whole world. My mom was my whole world, and she was my biggest supporter and unconditional love and stability, and anything that would happen, it was like, you want your mom, we were extremely close.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I look back now, like at the time I was just living life, right? It was a long time ago, 20,
sure.
40 years ago. But I was able to channel that life experience of losing my mother and that desperation and grief and loss and pain and maybe a little anger that she was taken so young. And, I've already outlived her. I never thought that would happen. But when it came time to do those scenes with Gohan in the Cell Saga, where he had his father who had died, speaking to him in his head, telepathically, or the father son Kamea wave. If any of you are familiar with that, it was a powerful scene. And if you're a good actor, you can encompass that anyway. But I had life experience of like, hey, this happened to me in real life. Let's channel that energy and focus on that emotion that I can draw from that life experience, and then transfer it into Gohan in his character, knowing him from voicing him as a child.
Yeah.
Is almost teens.
Right.
And so I look back now, and it's like that was something I found useful. And then of course the music background, there's a lot of rhythm and a lot of sense of timing when you're
Timing.
dubbing, you're matching mouth flaps. This is all anime, so it's already been done in Japan.
Right.
They're the kings of anime, obviously. We're just dubbing, and I learned a lot about that process. And back when I first started, we were rewinding and fast forwarding, and there was a lot of time in between. And there were computers, but there wasn't what there is now.
Sure.
The dubbing process is much different. It's much more efficient. It's quicker. So yeah, it's changed a lot. So that sense of timing and that music background also helped me a lot when it came to matching those flaps and really paying attention and watching and kind of memorizing your lines as you go. And being a singer, I memorized lyrics Like that's how I remembered things in school. I'd write songs about it,
Right.
a song about the preamble, and then I was able to sing the
You
song,
knew
and
it.
write it down and
Yeah.
recite it. The memorization was a big thing. It started at a young age, and
Yeah.
I rely on a lot of memory for what I do, and
Yeah.
it's helpful. It's great.
No, that's huge. And it's we have a lot in common. I went to school for audio, only I wasn't doing the singing side of it. I was trying to singer songwrite stuff, but I was
Yeah.
more interested in the recording side, the recording aspect.
Yeah.
And I had learned a little bit about like ADR and like having voiceovers and voice acting and things like that. And so I can envision like how you're talking about like matching up with the lips of the character and getting the timing down,
The syncing
being
up. Mhm.
yeah. And obviously I know we have so many different tools and unique gadgets that we can, do that with, even now, but it's really cool to hear this insight and just kind of picture, what you had gone through. Before I go any further, I do want to take a moment to say a quick hello to a few other people in the chat right now. I see my friend Candace hanging out. What's going on, Candace?
Hey.
She was saying that she loves hearing where creatives get their inspiration from. So that was cool. And also my friend Phil's hanging out in the chat. What's going on, Philly Phil? And Joe Bigger. And there's Joe. There's the man right there. Just talking about him earlier. Good to see you, Joe.
I love these creative names.
Yes.
These are fabulous.
So my dad asked a question. He said, do you ever get stuck in character or voice and keep it throughout the day?
There are times, well, especially now with like social media and TikTok, and I've got a guy that's kind of directing me. He's a much younger guy. He's like, hey, this is what's trending. He gives me ideas, and so I'll send him videos of me visiting, different parts of the United States or scenic, places like New York City and Colorado Springs, and I'll throw him videos of me as if I was Goku. Kid Goku, because they're funnier. Goku is more slapstick and innocent, and he says funny things that when they come out of his mouth, they're not what you think.
Right.
He's really truly innocent about not knowing what a girl and a boy is and what the difference is, and why do girls not have tails? Like, what's going on here? So
Right.
I've been finding that I'm using that Goku voice a lot here lately. And the fans like to hear it. It takes them back to their childhood. It's nostalgia. It's like me, man, if I could hear Donna Summer sing right in front of me, I would have just fell apart. That becomes your hero. It becomes it's your icon. It's your own superhero. And so I'm always willing to kind of give people a little taste of it. And of course, the panels, it's like, what's your favorite line? And, so I'm ready for it. I did it for so long.
Sure.
The first couple of, sessions were like, what am I doing? How does this work? Am I doing a good job? Was that all right? But then there was a lot of uncertainty. But then after I came back, and then I would basically just mimic the session before, because there'd be quite a bit of time in between these sessions. We would get a lot of work done in an hour or two, and then I might not be needed or contacted to come back for a while. So, once I got that voice kind of captured, it was easy to recreate on the spot, and now more than ever. And Goku's a lot easier. He's a lot higher in the pitch. His delivery's not as, the voice itself isn't as hard on my voice. I'm not screaming all the time, but at the time when I was screaming a lot as Cell Saga Gohan, I was traveling in and out of with this band all the time.
Right.
We were on the road over 250 days a year. So I was rocking it. I was using my voice. Thank God I had the chops to carry it out and to be given the opportunity to do that and to successfully do that without completely frying my voice.
That was one thing I wanted to ask too, was how, like, I'm thinking back of like how many the emotions and roller coaster of some of these characters on that show, between some of the emotional sides and then like you mentioned, the screaming and the, building up energy, Kamehameha wave and all this other stuff. Like how did you like pull that together when you had to deliver, especially some of those peak moments?
Those moments. First of all, you show up and you follow direction. A lot of times it'd be like, jump in the booth and we're going to just get started. We're just going to go for it. A lot of times we would just get into the mode of, okay, here's the script, paper script, headphones, looking at the old timey TV screens, these were not flat screens. These were the old, they called them boob tubes. They had like the whole back end sticking out. But we just dove in and gave it a shot. And I think the reason it was done that way was for efficiency. It's like, hey, she knows how to do this for us. She's been here many, many times. Let's just dive in, hear the 3 beeps, go straight for line, whatever the numbered line, and just go for it. And after a while, I was able to kind of do that and get into a zone, and I just go from line to line, and that's how we did it. We didn't record with anybody else. We recorded our lines, left somebody else. If you happen to be the first one to record, that's only beneficial for the next person that's in the scene with you, because then they can hear your pre-roll to react to. So if I needed it and they had it, I would definitely ask for the pre-roll so that I can kind of get an idea of what I'm responding to.
Sure.
Gohan in the beginning was just mostly reactions and like shock and awe, like whoa, landing, taking off. There was a lot of reactions, and thankfully, from being a stage performer and being an actress and coming up with unique ways to express myself in those ways, I was able to come up with unique ways to do a different sound or a different reaction every time. And for me, that for some reason that came natural. The director started calling me the reactress because I had so many reactions. There really wasn't a whole lot of dialogue.
Right.
For Gohan. So we had to get creative and make it sound different because he's in a different scene. Well, this one's more intense, or this one's just like a very, very mouth not shown kind of quiet reaction. And then they kind of mix it all together and they add the sound effects and the music. They come up with the episodes, and then here we are watching it on VHS or on Cartoon Network, which was one of the special moments I got to share with my mother. Is it was on TV one day, and she was going through her chemo, and she was at home. She had a cute little cap on her head and her little robe, and we were sitting on the couch, and she was like, "Stephanie, is that your character? What's his name again? Is it Gonad?" I was like, "No, Mom, it's not Gonad." It's so funny. My mom was hilariously funny, and I got to share that with her. Like the first time I saw it on TV, like happening right now, was with her when she was, fighting her illness so bravely, and so I have those special memories from that, and like what to really see it on a TV when it's airing live there's something,
it's got to be
magical about that. Like, oh wow, everybody else that's watching this channel is watching this right now, And then going to Europe in 2000 with my show band, I ended up seeing it on TV in Italian. I mean, that's my first. Like, wow, this is like a worldwide thing. This is a big deal. This is extremely popular all over the world. That's when I kind of realized that. And when I was called to appear at some conventions in New Zealand and Australia in 2002 and 2004, that's when I was like, okay, this is a much bigger deal. I still was like, this is going to be over and I'll be on to something else. Right. And very humbled by it. But now that people are still interested in it, they've grown up watching it, they're watching it with their kids. It's like, it's now I'm, as the years go by, I'm like, wow, people really like this is a beloved, franchise that all over the world, all ages, really. It can be watched again and again with kids, when the fans grow up and they have kids and they're watching again. It's just fascinating, really.
Yeah, I legit am inspired to pick up where I had left off, because it's been a while since I watched, and I do miss it, and I do miss the show. And I know I have friends even here in the chat who I know are diehard fans of Dragon Ball Z, and everything else that came along with. And so even just hearing the voices that you're doing right now and everything else, I'm like, oh yeah, I need to go back. I need to binge. Yeah, maybe I'll do a little binging.
Especially when I was actually recording the specifically Gohan, I was really, really, really overworking, and there was a lot of strenuous sessions involved where I'd have a headache and I would just have to be quiet, which is not easy for me. Sorry, but it's not. And just like rest, rest your voice, drink some water, go to sleep, rest. Like rest and water did wonders and does wonders for when you're screaming and rocking in a show band that's got 12, well, not many, that wasn't 9 people on stage and a sax player and 3 girl singers. I mean, it was like my ears, it's affected by that, because back in the day we didn't do the inner ear monitors. We had this like live, and you had to just literally scream. If you want to hear yourself, you got to scream even louder. Well, so I had a lot of experience doing that. So thankfully I had the stamina. But when I look back, I do specifically remember, because I had to drive kind of a ways. It was a commute for me to go to the studio, and I would literally use that time warming up on the way there. But at the end of it, I'd be like, that's it, I'm done. No phone calls, we're just going to chill. And it worked wonders. So I was using my voice all the time. It wasn't like it was once in a while. I mean, I was,
Right.
performing live and auditioning for stuff and subbing with local groups. And it was just the way it was. So
Yeah, it's a
it helped
constant.
me. It was a good thing.
Yeah. That's great.
But I started
Uh,
talking like him in my real voice. My
oh,
natural voice was higher
oh yeah.
years ago, and that's usually the truth for anybody. Your voice naturally deepens.
Yeah.
I mean, I was a soprano, in choir, really high notes. But
Wow.
and so when I'd laugh, especially when I was recording and singing a lot, I would sound a lot like Gohan laughing. It's a lot of rasp in there, but I try to use it to my advantage and just get sultry with it.
That's great. I want to ask you about, obviously, promoting Hershey Comic Con, and where I'm going to be able to get a chance to meet you in person, which I'm very excited for. I know that we have this coming up in a couple weeks, and you had mentioned before, just when you were first starting to get into the scene of Comic Cons and things like that. What are your experiences, just in general, from what you've seen when you first kind of started getting into the Comic Con scene to even now? And I know you mentioned Hershey Comic Con will be your first time going there, right? So. Walk me through some of that, just, the fandom and meeting everybody like in that way.
Well, I mean, it's changed a lot. I mean, like I said early on, it was a new thing for a lot of us that were just getting started in the industry, and for something that would be a part of nostalgia eventually, and related to pop culture in the sense that it was there's a comic, there's a manga, there's
Right.
Videos and movies, and then things were switching over to DVD. And so, like I said, I was living kind of day to day, the life was crazy with, traveling and not knowing where we were going to stop or if we were going to be in a van, planes, trains, and automobiles. It was really like that.
Yeah.
And I loved every minute of it. I mean, it was hard in a lot of ways. There's, a lot of competition, and there's a lot of, competition, like who gets to sing what song and all that jazz. You got to go through all that. But it's kind of like a family though too. So we kind of look out after each other. But for me, it was like San Diego Comic Con, and that's the first one I've ever been to. Holy cow! Have you heard about that one?
That's the mothership. Yeah.
It is the mothership, and there's a lot of big names, and to be a guest at that, I couldn't wrap my head around it, because I was seeing famous guests there, like Lou Ferrigno, the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
I think I want to say Carrie Fisher was there from Star Wars, and Peter Mayhew, and like it was a big deal, like a Star Wars. How in the world am I anywhere close to being a guest with them? It's like this I'm still not used to it at all.
Yeah.
So it was like, but like I said, I thought this was like, oh, this is a one-time thing. That's it. This would be fun to do again, but I figured I'd be old news, right? Old news, So over the years, I started seeing more of these Comic Cons popping up and in and out of everywhere, really, Dallas, Fort Worth, and Houston, all parts of Texas. And then over time, I realized, wow, these are going on everywhere.
Yeah.
All over the world.
All the time.
And of course, going to Australia, New Zealand twice, once in 2002 and 2004. That was eye-opening. That's when I was like, okay, this is a really, really, really big deal. And then for me to be doing them now, I mean, because I kind of got out of the scene and kind of was like trying to, focus on my personal life and get married and try to have kids and all these other things. But I was still singing, and I was very much involved in a local band that played at the WinStar World Casino. I was a part of a really awesome band called the High Rollers, and we worked every week. Now it was a morning show thing, which is crazy. Ended up being like the best gig in the world. We did that for 4 years. So I was still singing, creating, working on original music and things like that. And but then people kept saying, hey, on social media or whatever. Of course, we hit COVID, or right before COVID. It was like, well, hey, we haven't seen you out and about doing Comic Cons and stuff. I'm like, well, why would they want me now? I mean, I did this work years and years ago, over a decade. Why? They don't. I'm old news. What are you talking about? So they're like, no. The fans been asking about you. And then, I got very involved with social media, of course, MySpace, and then Facebook, and things kind of moved from there. And it's like, oh, well, if they want me, I'll go, hey, let's do it. I love the fans. That's like my whole world. My anime babies all over the world. I'm a mama to them. So I started getting out and about, and, I was doing kind of like a few a year, and then COVID hit, and then we all had to shut down the band, and we all had to cope with that in our own ways of being a
Sure.
live performer and working at Comic Cons, we couldn't do any of it.
Right.
So that shut down. That's a big letdown, for a lot of people. We all had to find a way to navigate through that. And for live performers, it was just a big, big fat, horrible time. But we found ways to learn about, like you said, StreamYard and Zoom, and there's ways to talk to people on FaceTime, and you find technology just followed suit. That's kind of how life happens. And I did some conventions online and some signings, and there was ways to kind of come out of the darkness. And
Sure.
we started doing Comic Cons again, and then we would just we would do the social distancing and the masks and the sanitizer. And you get it, you hopefully don't get it. And we've been creeping out, and now they're everywhere all the time, and it's like.
Yeah.
They're big, they're small, they're tiny, they're comic stores, there's arcades. I mean, I've done signing at arcades, 80s nostalgia, arcades. It's like my childhood. And now I'm doing events with my childhood heroes, like Never Ending Story, Noah Hathaway, and Tammy, I can't say her name right, but the childhood like Empress. And I'm getting all fanboy fangirling over these people, and it's like I'm making TikToks with these people, and I'm relishing in it. I'm on the phone with clients and booking stuff all the time. And, I've got a business manager now, Dan Bradford, my bass player, best friend. We're partners now. We're everything. He's everything to me. And we've been in each other's lives for 20 years now. So now I've got that's my family. I've got my home base, and he helps me with all my website, my technology. He's my handler. If I can bring him along, he's my handler. I trust him implicitly. He handles the money, so I can give the fans all the love and attention that they want that I can give them. So, it's grown into a business. It's really and something I cherish, and I'm basically making hay while the sun's shining. I mean, I know that anything could come to an abrupt halt at any time. So I'm really embracing it and relishing in it and living in the moment more than ever.
Yeah.
The present is there as a present. It is a gift. So I'm just happy to be out and about and constantly looking forward to seeing other parts of the world or the United States or other parts of the state that I'm in. I mean, it's just I'm learning a lot. Learning how to just make better decisions in general, and just the do's and don'ts of when you book yourself. And I don't know, it's a learning experience, and but it's keeping me busy, and I love it. I love it, every second of it. And
well, I can't wait to again meet you when we're at Hershey Comic Con, and I'm sure definitely I'll be doing some filming and capturing stuff for the channel and stuff, so I'll have to stop by. And
we'll get a picture and do a little video,
definitely
do a shout out.
100%. For sure.
There's a lot
I went
of
on
industry stuff with
even I went on your Instagram and saw you and some other voice actors goofing off and having fun, and so I hope to see more of that even at
there'll
the
be
show.
some clowning around for sure. Melanie will be there. She's the original voice of Lucy from the 70s, which there's another person I've gotten to know along the way, and we help each other. Hey, they might want you here. They might want you here. We kind of refer each other and help each other out. And so I'm getting to know, I have a Comic-Con family now. I really do. I have some artists, a group of artists that are amazing that I've met off the clock kind of thing. Hey, let's go to dinner. Let's hang out. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. And then you get to know kind of what they're all about. And that's my favorite part of everything that we're talking about, these pop culture Comic-Con appearances. Yep. I like meeting the people, and I love the fans, and that's great. It's wonderful. I wouldn't trade it for the world, but I also really like to get behind the scenes and hang out with some of the owners of the comic shops, and hang out with the staff and the volunteers, and get to know them, and donate autographs to the staff and hook them up. They're working hard, and I like that just as much as I like signing autographs and taking pictures with the fans. I just love people. I've always been a people person, and moving around, I've gotten a lot of knowledge from just kind of being plopped here and plopped there, ripped there. And the living out of the suitcase thing is nothing new, really. Right. I've gotten really, really good at packing light.
Nice. Yeah. I imagine so.
I want to bring everything. I want to buy everything, and I want souvenirs. But I'm rolling with it. I have fur babies. I'm able to kind of just jump up, and we've got a routine going. It's like, oh, are we going to go here? Are you going to go with me? Okay, Dan, you're going to come with me. People are getting to know him. They love him. They're like, oh, you're not bringing Dan. Okay, so like I said, I'm getting to know a lot of people in the Comic Con scene, other voice actors. I know the Yellow Power Ranger, Tracy Lynn Cruz, and her husband. I'm getting to know people's kids,
Cool.
con people behind. I say the con people, I mean like the people that, the clients, the promoters, and
the behind the
getting to
scenes.
know them outside of their work. And I'm following them, and I'm supporting them, and they're supporting me, and it's great. It's a big void that's being filled, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
That is so cool. A win-win sounds like all around.
Yes, has to be win-win.
Totally.
Yes.
So I have a few questions in the chat that I wanted to highlight here, and then I have a couple rapid fire questions for you before we wrap things up. So first thing I'm going to highlight here. Let me go back here. Let's see. So this was a question I had for you as well. And so it's perfect that my man E-Man is here in the chat. He says, for those who want to get into voice acting, what is the best route to get their foot in the door? Asking for a friend. Yeah. What is like some advice that you might have?
For a friend, whatever.
Yeah.
It's okay. I mean, I the way I got into, there was no rule book. There was nothing. It was not like, I went and, I don't even think we had Google back then. Honestly, I'd just gotten a cell phone for the first time, to be honest. So there weren't near as many opportunities or ways to find out, to Google. There weren't, workshops online. There wasn't really much of that, really. So it worked for me just to be out in the industry, to already be doing what I really love and my passion, and then learning from the people I'm around. Like you said, you're talking about music and laying down tracks and working with musicians and studio musicians and writing the songs and going through those motions. And it's just by being in those moments allowed me exposure to meet people who did other things in the industry that I was very much into, like the parodies and the jingles. I did a bunch of those, and I wrote some songs about Halloween and Christmas, and how, I did a lot of holiday novelty type songs, which was a really good way for me to step into songwriting, because I was either taking a song that's already written and changing the lyrics, which I think I'm naturally better at, is the lyrics. And then learning about how the process is of producing, writing a song, and then getting prepared to go into the studio, hiring the musicians, paying the musicians, learning about that whole side of it, the business and the taxes. And so for me, my opportunity came when I was living my music dreams and singing and working on albums and recording and writing. And I met people in that scene to get me into voice acting. In fact, before I ever did Dragon Ball Z, somebody who knew me was like, I know this girl that does, she does all these voices. Like she's like a mimic. She can do all these crazy voices. Like, I don't even know how many, but you got to bring her in it was through a musical that I worked on. And he invited me to reach out to a toy company, Jimmy Productions. And they do toy, like they create the sound, the recordings that go into toys that are manufactured in China, anything from little mice or reindeer for Christmas or Halloween toys, like, whoa, are you scared? Boo! So I came in and did a bunch of these voices, and it was rapid fire. Like, we were going from character to character. So I was ready when it came time to audition for this anime, because I had been told, we're doing rapid fire. Like, okay, now you're a witch. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm a witch. Okay, now we're a witch. Now you're a creature. So I'd already been doing that. So that prepared me, actually. It's kind of look back at it now. And so my voice is on all of these toys somewhere. I have a few of them at home.
That is so cool.
Count, and you're not really credited for that. I mean, you just do it. You're paid by the hour, and it's whatever. But it was a lot of fun. Because it was challenging for me and then I sang songs in character voices, which is, oh my gosh, this is greatness. My dream job is to be a Disney voice that sings and does the voice, like Jodie Benson with the Little Mermaid. I mean, whether it's going to happen or not, it remains to be seen. But I've just learned over the years to just not limit yourself, because there's just and getting out and about, getting around other people that want to get into it is good. There's more opportunities for signing up for workshops. Just do your research and make sure they're legit. I know a lot of people in the voice acting industry that are now coaches. I've done a little bit of coaching. My best advice would be to definitely get online, and there's casting sites. They're even casting shows and video games on projects on Twitter, from what I'm hearing. I'm jumping on a few of those auditions here and there when I have time. I'm still trying to get back into it myself. I put my stuff in LA and New York, and right now I think it's a good maybe for somebody to consider getting acting lessons and really kind of learn how to manipulate your voice and kind of see what you're best at.
Sure.
Acting is, voice acting, you got to be able to, you can have a great voice and be able to morph your voice, but you got to have the acting
Right.
to carry the delivery.
Sure.
Practice. I mean, I practiced as a kid on a cassette player. Fast forward, rewind, you record again, do it better. Get really familiar with your voice and what you can do, what you can't do, what you're best at, and focus on the ones you like to do the best, and then just every morning do something to work towards your goal. You may have to work as doing something you don't love to pay the bills. Right. That's true for a lot of people. You got to work your way up. Yep. You got to pay some dues or whatever, but if you're really good at it naturally, you're just going to have a better opportunity. And so, once you get some stuff for a resume, you got to get your voice reel down, your demo reel, like go from voice to voice and showcase what you're best at. Right. Keep it under a minute. Get online and ask other people who are doing it full time. How did you get started? Can I do a consult with you? Can I do a coaching session with you? What do I need to do? And just ask questions and be humble and take it in and learn. And there's so many different ways to break into the industry, but it's not, I mean, it's rare. I think it happens where people could just go, hey, I'm going to get this audition, or we got an open call, and boom, you got this big giant role. Right. It's probably happened, but it's not likely.
It's not as common. Yeah.
Even in film and movies, I don't know a whole lot about that, but you hear about people that they might have an open call, but when it comes down to really making that decision to cast somebody, they usually go with someone who has already been working in other capacities, other films,
has some sort of experience, or
they've done something that's related to that could generate something special and unique to that role.
Sure.
So, and then once you maybe get an agent, which sometimes you can get agents that you don't have to necessarily live in a big metropolis like LA, New York, Dallas, or Chicago, or Atlanta, or whatever. And there's audiobooks, there's narrations, there's portals where you can set up a profile and put all your information in there and just audition to get the experience. You might not get paid, or you might get a small amount for your time. Learn how to edit your own voice on your own computer. It's easier now than ever. Take a class, latch on to somebody that's already doing it. There's all kinds of ideas out there to get started. Just start getting experience immediately.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love that answer. And really a lot of things you said you can apply in whatever it is that you're going after. I think that's really special. So thank you for answering that. And thank you for the question, Iman. The other question I had, and then we'll get into a couple of rapid fire ones. Steve here, Hip Hops and Me, he has swung by. I know he's a huge Dragon Ball Z fan, amongst other things. He says, is there any other anime characters that you would look forward to voicing? And I'll even extend this a bit further, of not just anime, but any character that comes to mind to you that you've thought about in the past.
Yeah, I mean, as far as an actual character in anime, I wouldn't have much. I wouldn't really know how to answer that specifically because I'm not really sure what anybody's really working on. I know I'm hearing bits and pieces of different things, and I hear colleagues or friends of colleagues posting they've been cast and when they can finally announce it and all that. I'm really excited for them. So honestly, anything that would challenge me, anything that would really, showcase something else I can do. Maybe not a little boy. Let's do an old woman, or even an old man, something completely different that would challenge not only myself, but also kind of wow the fans. Like, I didn't know that was Stephanie doing that voice. That's crazy. Like, like right now, like I'm getting an influx of people that are like, you sing? You're a singer? And I'm just like, what? I've been singing my whole life. Like, I was singing long before voice acting. Like, I mean, I was voice acting, but I mean, professionally voice acting years before that. So I find it, just because I know myself and I know what I've done years and years ago up till, very recently, I've been a professional singer for, since I was 18 years old. So, so a lot of the fans are like, oh, I didn't know that was you singing, Sayonara Bye Bye from Yu Yu Hakusho, or I didn't know that was you singing the opening and closing to Kitty Grade. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I do. I'm a singer. Like, I'm a singer, like voice act, And so this is something I'm still fascinated. It's fine, but it's like they just don't realize I'm a singer, and I'm like, well, hey, check this out. So I'm going to be getting a lot more of my music up on Spotify and learning how to
Nice.
sit down and do that, because I have a full album of original material that came out in '97 that kind of got shelved, and then my mom got sick, and when she passed away, I kind of like had to just zone out and take care of my mental health and grief over that. So I lost out on a couple of opportunities in Nashville and LA when I was offered some developmental deals to do a record and things like that. And that's unfortunate, but I mean, you have to be in a position to be able to take something like that on. And I just had to get with the family and kind of get over the hump there. But I still stayed with my band, and I was still working, and I made some trips to LA and Nashville and kind of like walk the streets to kind of see what you had to do. And a lot of times they were like, "No, you got to live here." You know, this was the '90s, so, and early 2000s. So a lot of times people just get used to working with people that they can be in face to face with. It's not always the case. I mean, I did like a video game last year in Croatia, I think. So the sky's the limit. You know, I think it's just learning that there's really, you can limit yourself without realizing it and really kind of hinder your own progress. And now I'm kind of like, hey, I kind of hindered myself without even realizing it. And I'm trying to get out of my own way, you know, just open those doors and be like, well, if this door's closed, well, let's go knock on this one. Okay. Do audition for that, put it to bed. Don't think about it anymore. Let's go over here and audition over here.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be suitable for something, or maybe a director hears my voice and goes, oh, that's an interesting voice for maybe not that character, but maybe for another character. You got to plant that seed, you know?
That's true. Yeah. I love it. Well, Stephanie, we're about at the time. I want to hit you with a couple of rapid fire questions. So I'm going to throw some at you. Some are, I have to tie a little bit of comics into this. So I'm going to have one or two questions comic related to that as well. And then of course, some personal stuff to you. So right off the bat, I have to ask the question, who comes to mind as your favorite superhero character? Could be of anything. Could be of a Marvel character.
My mom is my hero. She's a superhero of my life. Really, she lives in my heart, and really anything that's good that I do is a reflection of her and the way she raised me and the way she lived her life. But if I was to just choose, I'm a Wonder Woman fan, but I'm original Wonder Woman. Linda Carter, like OG 80s Wonder Woman.
Love it.
But I love Superman too. I really love Christopher Reeve's rendition of Superman.
Yeah.
That's like 70s.
Classic.
Ooh.
Classic.
Yeah. 70s.
Yeah. It's great. If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
That would be, I think, because I want it to be something that would promote something good. My first rapid fire answer would be to be invisible. I kind of want to be a fly on the wall. I kind of want to know kind of things that I kind of feel like I'd like to know. Important stuff, though, not really what people are about.
Random. Right.
Can't do anything about that, right? So probably be invisible. But another one that I'm sure a lot of people say this, but to be able to fly.
Yes, I actually do get that answer a lot.
Take off. Like, I'm flying over here today, and then I'm going to fly over here and avoid traffic. But then if other people could fly, we'd all have traffic jams in the sky.
You would need lights. Yeah, a traffic light in the sky or something.
Hey, you're violating my airspace, man. Get out. Get out of my way. Stay in your lane. Stay in your airspace, man.
Exactly. You'd save a lot of gas. You'd save a lot of money on gas, though. So there you go.
Then you'd have to have energy. Where's the energy source? I mean, you get all scientific.
Oh yeah,
Those are rather fun to fly though, and maybe be invisible.
Totally. Wanted to highlight this from your other answer. My friend John said, "Great answer. Moms are heroes." Absolutely, 100%.
Especially if they're good people and they raised you well and they sacrificed so much for your well-being. And my mom was definitely one of those. She took care of everybody. Yes.
Yep. 100%. A couple of non-comic book stuff. Off the top of your head, favorite sport? Do you have a sport? Are you into sports? And if you are, do you have a favorite sports team?
Sports ball. Yeah. No, that's a joke. Kelly Clarkson joke. Sports ball. No, I'm not much into sports.
Okay.
I have a high respect for it. Just like everybody has their favorite and they're passionate about something. If I had a favorite sport, it would be football, and it'd be the Dallas Cowboys.
I was gonna say it has to be the Cowboys,
guys. It's our time. I mean, because I grew up in a lot of the Dallas Cowboys stuff in the early 90s when they were really doing good and they were winning Super Bowls. Our band was opening up for the Super Bowl parties. Like, I was immersed in it. So Dallas Cowboys was a big deal. We played a lot of the games. So Dallas
That's
Cowboys,
cool.
football.
That's cool. All right. What about favorite? You know, and this is tough because I know there's so many great ones. But if one that comes to mind, who's your favorite artist or music artist, musician artist,
Oh, hands down,
or
Donna
band?
Summer. Donna Summer,
Donna
since
Summer.
age
Oh,
3, 4,
nice.
I was hooked. Her voice captivated me.
Oh,
She taught
nice.
me how to sing. I mimicked
Yeah.
everything, you know. Someone found a letter you wrote me on the radio. I mean, I just like her
I
voice
love it.
is to this day my absolute hands down favorite female voice.
So cool. I love that. What about, we talk about movies. What is like your go-to, like you could have in the background because you know every scene by heart? What's like one of your favorite movies of all time?
Grease.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I
Olivia
love Grease.
John Travolta. Grew
You
up
can
on
sing
that.
along too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a lot of other favorite movies, but that one definitely comes to mind because that started again as a
Yes.
child.
Yeah,
And I'm a
that's a
huge
great
fan
one.
of Olivia Newton-John's voice as well. Her and ABBA and Donna Summer were like, anything they put out, I had to have it. Like, let's go get it right now.
Love it. Now, I know you mentioned that you have done a lot of traveling throughout your years, and I'm curious, what is one place that you've never been to before that you would like to travel to for vacation, personal, you know, be able
Yeah.
to explore on your own or with your family?
I'd have to say Europe. There's parts of Europe I've been, but a lot of Europe I have not been.
Yeah.
It's fascinating over there. I would love to go to Germany, Italy. Well, I've already been to some parts of Spain, but in Greece, but I was not there long at all. And I really didn't get to really explore. Italy has so much to offer. Rome and the Vatican and Venice and I can't even think of all Florence. I mean, there's just so many. It seems like you could do a whole lot if you just got your butt over there and stayed for a while.
Oh, totally. Yeah, I was
And
gonna
see
say
it all.
everything's so close that you could,
Yeah,
a
you
lot
know
of it.
what? Japan, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
That would be really, being that they're the kings of anime, and I've heard so many amazing things about Japan.
Yeah, me
I
too.
love the cuisine. Oh my gosh, Asian
Yeah,
cuisine, anything.
yeah.
I eat like yeah. Eat it up.
This is perfect because I have one more question for you, and it leads into food. Of course, I always end my interviews with food. It just happens to be that way, and then I get really hungry, and then I go eat after the interview. So
Always,
what
we all
is
got something, right?
Yes, exactly. What is your go-to meal? I always say, like on a Friday night, just you and your family. It's whatever you choose, whether you're ordering in or you're going out to eat or you're cooking or whatever it is. What's like your go-to dinner meal that you like?
Yeah, if I had time and I had the ingredients or whatever, if I had to choose, it would be a stir fry. It'd be an Asian stir fry with lots of vegetables and soy sauce and teriyaki sauce and like all the sauces and the garlic. And I really, really get into all of those flavors. I do not like spicy food though. I cannot do.
I don't either.
I am such a wimp about that. And
Yep,
here I
me
am
too.
in Tex-Mex, Texas. What the heck?
Yeah, right. I would think that you'd be around it a bit more. That it just kind of
You can
ingrained.
put garlic times 100 on anything, and I'm like, more garlic, please. I mean, garlic and salt and soy sauce, and so
Right.
yeah. So I'd say a stir fry, you know, with tofu, maybe chicken, all different kinds of meat, and I love seafood. So that's another go-to. Would be like a sea bass, a nice sea bass with some broccoli. I love me some broccoli.
I'm with you on all that. And I will say, my friends know spiciness. I draw the line at ketchup. I always tell people,
Oh
don't go any further than that.
When I was younger, it was really bad. I would have to get special ordered meat and bread.
Oh, really?
McDonald's or wherever we were going, meat and bread.
Right.
Yeah. Eventually, I embraced mayonnaise and then mustard, but like anything spicy. But I can do sushi. I just have to stay away from a lot of the spice. But thankfully, it's a quick spice. And if it is spicy, it's usually gone quick.
It's not too bad. Yeah.
Can't be jalapenos, man.
Agreed.
That will not.
I know it lingers forever.
It's like I'm gonna blow fire. Yep.
That's great. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time today. This was so much fun just getting to hear a little bit more history of how you got to where you are today and everything in between. I can't, like I said before, I can't wait to see you at Hershey Comic Con, which again, coming up here in July. It's going to be here before we know it. I can't believe
blink your eyes. Wow, we're in Hershey.
Yes. Yeah. It's going to be insane.
I hope I have a little bit of time to run around a little bit too. Maybe at night for dinner and stuff, like I really kind of see a little bit before I have to blaze out.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm sure you will. And yeah, we'll have to sync up for sure. Before I let you go, is there anything that you'd want to share with everybody in terms of anything that you have coming up or anything that you want to promote before we get out of here?
Yeah, really just my website. I have some of my music on there already. Some of a couple of videos of the show band that I was in for many years, back in 2000 to 2010 to 2014. And any information I've got you can email me there. I've got all my social media handles there. I've got, Facebook page, a voice actress page, my band, my band that I have now that's on a little bit of a hiatus due to the fact the weekends conflict with a lot of the pop culture Comic Cons. It's called Moonglass Band. But just StephanieNadolny.com. It's just a matter of getting that name spelled right? Nadolny. Yep. It can be tough. But it's got everything there. I've got an Instagram. I've got a TikTok. It's Steph Nadolny. I try to keep everybody kind of apprised week to week, kind of what I'm doing and where. And if there's any announcements, I usually try to do that on social media as well as on the website if there's something new coming up. But right now, I'm really just enjoying jet setting, just going all over the place, meeting and greeting people and fans and friends of all ages.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm enjoying that. But this year's I'm back on tour, basically, I guess. Yes. I'm just not singing in a show band, but every once in a while I will sing some of the animation themes, the Dragon Ball theme and things like that, a cappella at conventions. And I'm always like I said, you give that same thing has not changed. You give me a microphone, I know what to do. You give me a microphone, it's great. You public speaking, what do I do? But give me a microphone, I'm ready to put on a show. It's showtime.
So funny. Very cool. Very cool. Well, again, thank you for your time. For everybody in the chat right now, thank you as well for showing the love for Stephanie here. The questions and everything else, sorry I didn't get to all of them. This hour flew by. I don't know how, but it's just been a blast again talking with you. So again, for anyone who's around the PA area, if you're in Grantville, make sure you check out Hershey Comic Con. I put the information in the description below for that. You can get your tickets there. You can check out all the different artists and creators that are going to be there as well. Again, it's July 1st and 2nd. I will be there both days. So definitely looking forward to meeting anyone that's going to be out that way. Again, if you're looking to get in touch with Stephanie, make sure, as she mentioned, all your links are in the description below. Check out her website, follow her over on Instagram. We'll probably be doing some silly videos at some point over at the Hershey Con. So
plenty of horsing around. It's the seriousness. Come on. You'll do that for a couple seconds. Okay.
Yeah, no, it can't be Tuesday. Love it. All right, gang. Well, that is it. I'll be on John's channel in about an hour if you guys want to go see Omni X-Men. So we'll be over there talking some more X-Men. Other than that, everybody have a great night, and we'll talk to you later.